Texas football causing quite the stir over the weekend when videos like this started popping up of multiple Lamborghinis packed outside Memorial Stadium waiting for recruits on their official visits. The feedback was mixed, some saying that this is bad for college football or you shouldn't want players in your program who are interested in this kind of recruiting pitch. So we, of course, have to bring onto the show our resident general manager who has worked at programs both in the SEC and the Big Ten to get his take, and that is Smoke Dixon. Smoke, you're seeing the reaction, you're seeing the videos. Overall, just what's your take on this?
A whole lot to do with a whole lot of nothing. I mean, this is a perfect time of the year when something like that should drum up the interest of seeing a bunch of Lamborghinis out in front of your stadium. But if it was more of they're giving Lamborghinis away to the recruits, now that would be a story. But this is what everybody's doing. And if you're not showing people the red carpet and showing them a fun time of giving them experience of taking pictures with exotic cars so they could put it on their social media to show everybody back in their hometown that, man, I just lived a good life for 72 hours, then really you're behind time and you're going to lose in the rat race of recruiting.
From your experience as a general manager at Vanderbilt and at Maryland, what was your approach to selling recruits on these official visits?
Well, I always wanted to go in and being as honest as you could possibly be. And showing up for an OV, you have to have that entertainment value, that wow factor. And if you don't, your prospects are going to leave with the, oh my God, here we go again. I'm on this boring visit. All we're doing is academics, a few pictures. So you got to throw something out at them. But my approach is always allowing everyone to understand the 1% rule. The 1% rule is everybody is 1% that's going into the NFL. So you have to fall into the next category. So you have to take care of your academics. Now let's go to University of Maryland. When I was there, it was an easy sell for myself because I'm from there. And the importance of this, where you're at, understanding that if you graduate, you're going to have a phenomenal time there on campus, but even a better time when you do graduate, getting a job. You're stuck between DC, Baltimore, and Northern Virginia. Easy sell. And also the education of the University of Maryland. Easy sell for itself. But just for an example, it was easy for me to sell receivers with Coach Loxley because he's a founder and he's the guy that made the rideouts. So if I had a receiver on campus, it was easy. It was looking to Coach office, looking to that vault of all the first round receivers that he's shown and that he's basically recruited and developed under his watch. And then the last thing I would tell them is this is a developmental program. We want guys like you to come in our program that maybe are 4 stars, maybe 3 stars, but you still have that developmental growth within you. And this is what we do here at Maryland to get you to the next step. So not only do we have a guy here that's shown you that he's taken 5 stars and made him first rounders, 3 stars and turned him first rounders, no name and got him drafted. That's what my sell was. I sold ourselves, but also show them a good time while they're there on campus with their family.
See, that was the impetus for my question because we are talking Lamborghinis here. Of course, the sell is great. You've got a great coach that you get to pitch. You have all the great academics that come with Maryland. I'm sure that Texas is using a lot of those similar things on the recruiting pitch. We're just not seeing them on Twitter because they're not as flashy. So what did you guys do on recruiting visits to maybe spice it up a bit?
Well, we usually took them down. We made sure that they had an opportunity to go to D.C. just to see the city and just to understand what it is. If you're getting a kid from Montana or Minnesota that's never been to D.C., an opportunity to do that. Then we also always took them out to Baltimore. So we wanted to show them 2 sides of it. You get the D.C. side and the Baltimore side. And then we toured the Under Armour facility. And then we usually take them out on the cruise right down there on D.C. on the water. And we usually get about 80 to 90% commits when we do that. So that was our big thing during the summertime. The boat.
The boat. That is not the first time that we've heard about using a boat. We've heard about it last week for Washington visits. It's a very common thing. If you have a body of water, you got to take full advantage of that. But I have to ask you, just kind of big picture, from what we're hearing, NIL is so important, and it sounds like a lot of these visits are these glorified in-person NIL negotiations. So if that's the case, why is it important to add the flash?
Well, if I can give some advice to these young people, you handle business before you get on campus. Because when you get on campus for your OV, that's your opportunity to celebrate. So a lot of people are doing business backwards, Emily. You should take care of business first, celebrate when you get there, because to me, that's what the OV is. The unofficial visits, we talked about it. It's the academics. It's getting to know. When you get to that OV, I'm making a decision, and you have to show me the best of the best for these 72 hours.
Smoke, I don't know what your visits were like back when you were being recruited. I know that there were no Lamborghinis at mine, but I did have a lot of fun. And a lot of it was just to see what it could be like if you were to go to college at that place. They're pitching the energy and the excitement and all the fun things that could happen if you picked that school. So I'm like you. I'm cool with it, and I love those videos. It's fun to watch.
Emily, you know what? On my visit to Alabama, I got picked up in a private jet.
Okay.
And it was myself and Jesse Miller. So that was a wow factor for us. And for me, everywhere else I've been, it was commercial. Getting in line. So when Coach Sweeney called up and be like, hey, listen, you know how those other schools got you standing in line and TSA? No, we're going to get you to the Baltimore, Washington International private sector and put you on a private jet to come on down to Tuscaloosa. And when you get down here, we're going to show you the world. So it is about that, and you have to show that everyone has to have that one-off, something different that's not going to be on any other campus. So if I can have 10 Lamborghinis and exotic ones lined up, and just to give me a glimmer in the hopes that maybe when you do show up, you can have one of those, because we heard that Bijan Robinson had a Lambo down there too. So if I'm a 5-star and I can negotiate that, and I can pick one out just so if I can commit, that might be a way to seal the deal.
So Alabama was the only school that flew you private, and where did you end up going to school, Smoke?
The University of Alabama.
See?
Period.
It works. Period. Smoke, thank you so much for being on our show. You can catch more of his analysis on 24/7 Sports Unfiltered with Carl Reed. New episodes go live on the 24/7 Sports YouTube page Wednesday and Friday at 5 Eastern. And UCF head coach Gus Malzahn actually will join the show Wednesday, so be sure to tune in.